Hello, my name is Heidi Taylor Arnold. I am the Sociedad Hispánica de Amistad Director and a high school Spanish teacher in St. Louis, Missouri. Thank you so much for joining us for our webinar, Advocacy from the Classroom, Strategies to Help Our Language Programs Grow. We have an amazing panel for our webinar, and they will share their expertise in their advocacy efforts from the classroom. Let's welcome Dr. Maria Carreira, who is our Executive Director for the AATSP, Juanita Calvo from Klett World Languages, Larissa Giacoman from Elementary School, Lauren Ramos Robles, who is going to be representing middle school, Julian Barroso Merino, who's going to be representing Community College, and Dr. Patricia McGregor Mendoza, who is representing the university level.
Good afternoon from Los Angeles, California. I am Maria Carreira, the Executive Director of the AATSP, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to today's virtual panel discussion on such an important topic, advocacy from the classroom, strategies to help our programs grow. This panel discussion is sponsored by Klett World Languages in collaboration with the AATSP and the Sociedad Hispánica de Amistad, SHA.
And I'm Juanita Calvo, a former higher ed educator and world language consultant at Klett World Languages. Together with Dr. Carreira, Heidi Taylor Arnold, and our panelists, we're thrilled to have you here today for what promises to be an insightful conversation about advocacy in language education.
As you all know, advocacy is crucial in today's world of language education, especially in K through 12 and higher education settings. And now more than ever, as we navigate through a rapidly changing global landscape and a rapidly changing educational landscape, the importance of language proficiency cannot be overstated. Language programs play a vital role in shaping students into global citizens who can effectively communicate and engage with people from diverse backgrounds. And we also know that language programs are very important for our language minority students, such as Latino students, for example.
Absolutely, Dr. Carreira. And we also know that language learning and language programs develop and help enhance cognitive abilities and foster cultural understanding and empathy. However, these language programs often face challenges such as budget constraints, the lack of resources, and, unfortunately, misconceptions about the value of language learning. So this is where advocacy in particular becomes essential.
And as we all know, advocacy empowers educators to champion the cause of education, advocating for our students, for resources, for support, and recognition within our institutions and community. And it's about showcasing the tangible benefits of a high-quality language education and the resulting language proficiency, as well as being about dispelling myths that may hinder program growth and development.
So today, we're here to explore effective advocacy strategies from the classroom to more broader institutional and community levels. Our panelists will share their insights, their experiences, and some best practices to inspire and equip all of us with the tools to advocate successfully for our own language programs.
So let me tell you about the 4 objectives of this session. They are: 1, to understand the importance of advocacy in language education. 2, to explore effective advocacy strategies tailored to the different educational settings represented here. 3, to learn from real-world examples of what successful advocacy initiatives look like. And 4, to empower educators such as yourselves and us with practical tips and resources to advocate for their language programs.
And we hope that today you'll feel motivated and equipped to become advocates for language education in your community by the end of today's session.
And so without further ado, let's dive into our discussion and explore how we can collectively support and the growth and sustainability of language programs. Thank you for joining us, and let's make this conversation count.
Thank you so much. We want to share our agenda for tonight, or the afternoon, or the morning, where you are. And our first point is going to be advocacy and spheres of influence. For number 2, advocacy strategies. And then at the end, we will have our closure. So we're going to start just having a conversation in what is advocacy. So I want to invite our audience, and please that you tell me in 3 words what advocacy means to you. If you can type in the chat and share some of your thoughts in order to have a clear idea of what is advocacy, that would be grateful. That would be wonderful. I can see sharing our greatness, make people aware, to defend, supporting initiatives, outreach support, campaign for world languages, building sustainable programs to speak up, promote, empower, and share, educating, being a voice. Wonderful, wonderful words, definition. Advocacy is to represent others, providing value to students and community. Visibility, that's one of those words that are key when we're advocating. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Very valuable in this moment. So if we are going to be talking about advocacy, and we go to just this simple definition, right, that we find in the dictionary, like Merriam-Webster dictionary, it just says that it's the act or process of supporting a cause or proposal. The act or process of advocating something. So as we as educators, when we think about our role and what we do, the work we do in the classroom, what are we advocating for? And what we're looking for those words, we're supporting our world languages programs. We are supporting our students. We are creating visibility. We're being a voice, like Gladys is mentioning. We are looking for empowerment. So that's why advocacy is very important. And we as educators, we start advocacy in the classroom. That's our role. How we can give that empowerment also to our students, how we can engage them, support them through the journey. And that's what we're going to see tonight. This journey is starting at the elementary level until university. So that's just very important. And we have Laura mentioned that advocacy is kind of centering too, communicating for enrichment, giving opportunities that may become possible through our program. That's what Wagner shared. So thank you so much for sharing these valuable words that are connected with advocacy, because that's our role as educators, what we can do when we advocate to help our programs grow. And following on those ideas that we're discussing, right? We're communicating, we're connecting with each other. I want that you look at this slide. This slide has been shared by ACFL, and I asked for permission to use it. And it's a visual that you can see your role that you have in advocacy. We are at the center, we are educators, and we need to have these spheres of influence. So at this moment, I want that you start thinking in your position where you are, what are those spheres of influence that you are able to reach? And as you can see in the image, right, our closer one, which is the yellow one, as students and families. So what are we doing right now to work with them? And then in that part, we continue moving to the other circles, community members, talking to local businesses, how we can connect with them and bring them to our classroom to celebrate what we do and to create that visibility as you have shared in your comments. Also discussing that with administrators, superintendents, inviting them to the classroom, sharing the learning that is happening, how the students are moving forward, how they're becoming proficient and learning about other cultures. And then we move on to the next circles or spheres that we have with the governments, state boards of education, and then at the federal level, then we have opportunities to advocate for bills that support world languages. And you haven't heard about it, but JNCL is doing an amazing job in order to connect educators at that level, and they provide a great support. That is, again, in the definitions that you shared. So in order to start our conversation, we're going to start with this question. What strategies have you found effective for advocating within your educational institution?
And that is my turn. Hola a todos. It is an honor to be able to be here and share my school experience with you. We did a chapter of the Sociedad Hispánica de Amistad last year, and it was a success. It connected us with everyone in the school, the parents, the students, everybody wanted to come. It grew bigger and bigger, and they asked for more next year. So this is what we did. We met once a month for an hour. We sent an invitation to the entire lower school population. Everybody, all the grades were welcome. We met with everybody from the different ages. So it was very exciting for the students to connect with older students and younger students in one space. We had about 41 students attend, and they kept on coming month after month. 90% were there. We're always asking, are we meeting for Santitos today, which was the name of our chapter. So it created a buzz around the school. When are we going to meet next? Because we were making connections among each other and sharing both the language and the culture. Every time we met, we did a little bit of food, music, dancing, geography, the flag. We cover products, perspectives, and practices. We read about our country in simple booklets that they had to read and repeat and connect with some words. And then we created art. We moved from the space where we did the reading and the writing and the connection. And then we moved to another space that was larger, where we could create art that had to do with the country that we were studying. And that was a hit. We were making all kinds of art. We tasted food. They loved the food. They wanted more food, juice and snacks. And that was when we got their feedback. Students loved that part. They would love the tasting of the food. We also did zapateado. We did a mystery location Zoom. And if we go to the next slide, we can see a little bit of some of the pictures that we had. We had the 3 activities that the chapter asked for ambassadorship. And so we did a heritage video at the beginning of the school year where everybody shared what they had that they love about their country of origin and in a video. And then we share it in a broadcast at the school. Then we also, towards December, Christmas time, we got together and we collected snacks to give to the Mother of Light Church that is locally our school that we service. And so students were very excited to bring every day their boxes of snacks. And that's another way of connecting beyond the school, even though they're younger kids. We're at the elementary school. And finally, we studied the 5 countries, their location, their capital, a little bit about their culture too. So here's a picture of us dancing, a little bit of Mexican, zapateado, and some of the activities that we did. We did Google Earth to locate the pyramid in La Ciudad de Mexico, so they could actually see the magnitude of it. They also created sugar skulls and glow-in-the-dark sugar skulls, and that was exciting. They could take home their art, their experience with them, and bring it home and connect with parents. And this is a little bit of the pictures where we met, their booklets, the sampolla that we created with straws. We tasted chicha limeña and canchita. That was a total hit. At first, they're like, do I have to try this? Yes, you have to try it. And they loved it. That was a total hit. We did mola art. We invited parents to come and share their heritage language and a little bit of their souvenirs with the kids. And then they got their certificate. So they were part of the Sociedad, and they felt totally empowered and part of this community that we had created. And that was our experience. It was creating joy and connecting with one another. And that's what's going to take them forward as they learn more Spanish, and they keep on asking, when are we meeting? When is our next chapter? So it was a total success, and highly recommended.
That's wonderful. That we can see how the value, of the community is represented there. Thank you.
Hello, I am Janet Ramos, and I will be talking about the middle school portion. When we're talking about middle school, remember middle school is a different monster on its own. We have students that not only we're talking about their change of perspective and likings, but we're talking about the decision of who they want to be. And I think when we talk about advocacy, we're talking about not just engaging the students, but engaging the parents, because many parents think when time passes, they try to make their students a little bit more independent, but they need to know that they still have to be engaged in the school setting and in the education of their child. And one of the things that we have done in the middle school. I am part of a World Language Academy, so we do offer different languages at our school. And one of the things that the first thing we do is we try to make sure that the parents are an integral part and they're involved in every decision that we make in regard of the language, the choice of language, the activities that we do, because we want to be able to have them feel comfortable. Many parents at this stage in the middle school level fear sometimes that they will not be welcomed because their students are becoming adults. And in reality, we want them to be part of it. We still want them to be engaged. In elementary, you see that they walk them to the classroom, they walk them the first day to school. In middle school, they drop them off and they run. And we don't want that to happen. We want them to be able to continue being part of their education. And one of the things that we enjoy doing are those parent involvement activities where the parents come and not only for languages, but for the core contents as well. They're engaged, and we always provide translators in the different languages for the parents to be at ease that even though they might not speak their language, they have someone that will be there to support them, that there will be someone there to understand the process that they're going through, and that they'll be able to be an active part of their students' education and the programs that are being involved. One of the things that within our Spanish Honor Society, La Sociedad de la Amistad, is that we like to have guest speakers come from different areas and different nationalities and different concepts. And we like to involve all our schools. We like to plaster across our campus words in the different languages. So we have our core values of integrity, responsibility, but we have them in the different languages that we show in our schools as well. So the students can identify themselves with that specific core value. And when the parents come to our schools, they can feel that they're welcomed, that they have that person that they can identify themselves with, and that they can come at any time and be receptive to who they are, their diversity, their cultures, their welcoming. And with our guest speakers, they love to visit classrooms. When we have our Honor Society inductions, we like to honor those guest speakers as miembros honorarios, as we call them, and they become an integral part because they feel that investment in the school and they continue to be part of our community. And we have um, that value that they know that whatever they're committing to our school is because we involve the diversity, we involve the cultures, and we want everyone to be accepted. And I know that obviously with all the things that are happening now around us, with all the Latinos and the things that it's happening social and politically, we need to ensure that that parents and students feel safe and the environment that they're in is a safe one, that they will be heard, that they will be valued. And specifically at the middle school level, when there's so many changes involved physically, mentally, and psychologically, they need to know that they have a place where they are going to be appreciated. So one of my biggest pieces, and I would say one of the biggest things that I say, is be that voice for those that can't be heard and those that can't be, they can't speak. Because sometimes we have many parents that feel afraid. And when they go to your school and when they go to that area and they see that they're accepted, they will be open to be able to talk and give pointers of what things can be best, what things can be changed. And I think that's the best thing that we can offer our family, our communities, and our students, to be leaders and be able to show that they're valued as not just a human being, but valued by who they are, where they come from, and what they can offer to society.
Thank you so much, Laurenette. This is just wonderful what you have shared. And what I love is how you're involving the community, how you're supporting your parents, right? Providing services like translation. That's wonderful. That's very inclusive. And that's great, the work that you're doing. Thank you. So now is it the turn for high school. I teach a high school here in St. Louis, Missouri, and here are some ideas that what we use in order to create that visibility, right, in our classes. And you can get some ideas from here. This is very generic. I am a sponsor of the Sociedad Hispánica de Amistad for 9th graders, but also in my school, we have the Sociedad Hispánica. This is for the higher levels, like I think after 10th grade until 12th grade. So the idea, again, is to engage the community, that the students are able to do work, especially becoming ambassadors. In that way, they are working as agents of change. They start looking at the power they have in their hands to support others and support sometimes communities in need. And at the same time, they're growing their proficiency skills. They're communicating, they're connecting with communities that speak Spanish, speak Portuguese. So some of the things that I recommend for celebrating your programs, absolutely the Seal of Biliteracy. If you have it in your school, that's wonderful. If you don't have it yet, I encourage you to implement it. So connect with language associations and share with them what you're doing in your classrooms. Send them pictures, celebrate your programs. That's one of the things I'm very passionate about. Create that visibility that we have discussed related to advocacy. Create clubs or societies to nurture the love for languages. As I mentioned, Sociedad Hispánica, Sociedad Hispánica de Amistad. If you're in high school, 9th grade, you can start your chapter at 9th grade. So that creates that connection from middle school, elementary, middle school, and high school. Advertise your programs. Come with flyers. Use social media. Social media is so powerful nowadays. So celebrate them. Create an account for your chapter. Share the pictures, the great things the kids are doing. Also, parents are your best allies. And in that way, I connect with Laurenette. She's supporting her parents because she knows the value that they bring. So it's very important. Invite them to your classrooms as speakers. Invite parents and members of the community to community events where you can develop a partnership to support your programs. Passport days, you can create mercados, and other ideas that you involve them. Also, we have great things that our association, the AATSP, are offering, like the Celebrate National Teach Spanish or Portuguese Week. Those are great to celebrate different things that you're doing in your classrooms. And usually we offer activities that you can do to celebrate them. Honor societies, as we mentioned, and to the different association of languages, Spanish and Portuguese, for German, for French. Connect with Lead with Languages. Work on advocacy kit. And if you need assistance, let us know. We're here to help. And also join GNCL Language Advocacy Days. This is an amazing experience. You go there, you connect with your Congress person, you connect with your senator, and you talk about world languages. What are the needs? We are living in a time that we really need to pay attention to what is happening. There are things that are happening very quickly, and we need to be aware that we have that power, we have that voice, and we want to give that to others and also invite others to join us. So here, this is for my Sociedad Hispánica de Amistad, Amigos del Español. This is my 3rd year, I think, since I started, and it's always bring me joy just to connect with my students. We work with cards during special events like Valentine's Day, Easter time. We did the Pulsera project. We have, we collect money to support the artisans during that time. You create crafts, connect with them, use the language, and the students love it. And for me, although I have 9th graders, I also invite students, other students who are not in the SHA or the Sociedad Hispánica, Honoraria Hispánica, but they want to continue practicing their Spanish. So in that way, you create that connection.
Hi to everyone. Boa tarde para todos. Buenas tardes a todos. I am the community college representative for AATSP, and I am very grumpy. Eu sou muito chato, né? So when Professor Taylor invited me to this event, what I have in mind was 2 questions: why we should do advocacy and how, and why I bring the data here. Later, we are going to ask the question related to data. I am very fond on numbers, believe it or not, because for me, numbers explain a lot of things. They tell us stories. And so I wanted to bring you this data here in order for you to know why is so important the advocacy. And I am going to tackle just a few of them. Take a look in the tuition in yellow down there. Almost $4,000 per year to attend the community college. And I'm not talking about the books, I'm talking only about fees and tuitions. So that represents at least, more or less, together with the books, $400 every single month for our students, okay? If you go to the risk factor, Swale's risk factors, you are going to see that our students, if they fulfill at least 2 or 3 of these risk factors, their possibilities to graduate is going to be at 30%. It's very, very low. Take a look. Working part-time is already a risk factor. If they work part-time, they are going to make more or less $2,400. Rest $400 every month. They have $2,000 for transportation, for food, renting a house or an apartment, whatever. It's really tight. Their budget is really tight. And take a look in the other risk factors. They are, I don't have words to talk about that. If their parents didn't even complete the higher school studies, only 20% of them are going to take a graduation. If you think that in 2020, more than half of the Latino inhabitants in this country are born abroad, they are immigrants that were born in Latino countries and came to US, you are going to understand that most of that people, their parents, most of them, they don't have higher school education. So the possibility of our students to get enrolled in a community college and have a graduation is really low. Yeah. If anyone wants the sources of that information, they are public. I am more than happy to give you all the things that you want. I just want you to see the gap between white and not Hispanic students and Latinos. The Latinos that graduate are half of the other students, 24%. Yeah, and Latino graduation in community college is a 2% lower than previous years and 12% in universities. It's a big number. I mean, a 2% sounds like it's nothing, but if you put the numbers and you count how many of them there are, they are going to be a really, really big number. However, take a look in Latin facts. We have 500 Hispanic service institutions and 300 emerging Spanish serving institutions. In order to be a Hispanic serving institution, you need to have around 25% of the students should be Latino, which means that there are a big number of Latino students enrolling in these institutions that are not able to graduate. They don't finish. And why they don't finish? Obviously, they have every single thing against them. They are fighting against a lot of things. And that's why we need to do advocacy. It's very, very important. Something that caught my attention from Professor Taylor's presentation was that she was referring to students as an agent of change. I have exactly the same thing related to us, professors, teachers, or whatever you want to call us, educators. Yeah? We are the bridge between our students and the businesses, our students and the communities, our students and the universities, our students and the working market. We must be those institutional agents of change. How we can do that? Showing your face in every single Latino event, demonstrating them that you are there, that they can trust you and be confident with you, that they can ask, that you are able to provide resources for them to get a little bit of money, one scholarship, minimum scholarship for them to pay the next course tuition or for them to buy the book. We are that, we are the bridge, and as that, we are very important. And you know, during the last 2 years, I have been reading a lot about this because I have been doing a research with Dr. Sergio Guzman from the South Nevada Community College, CSM. Something that I learned is that students who have parents with higher education, they have the resources at home. If you have 500 books at your home, the experience that you have, the possibilities to have other points of view, to think out of the box, are bigger, much, much bigger than if you don't have this type of parents. So when they look for a reference, for a role, who is the role? Who is the reference? We are the reference. And we need to fulfill that role in their lives for them to be successful and for them to complete their graduation. How I do advocacy with my colleagues. Something that probably Maria Doctora Carrera is not going to like because she thinks that we have better ways of defending ourselves, and I agree with that, but I am from psychological education, so or educational psychology. Sorry, you say in a different manner. So for me, it's very, very important to let the administration know what are the cognitive development advantages of learning a foreign language. Something very, very important is the development of the prefrontal cortex, this part here. This part of the brain is what works with executive functions. How much time I'm going to spend in learning, how much time I'm going to spend in resting, how much time I'm going to sleep, what kind of strategies I'm going to use in order to approach this task or to learn this thing. Those type of functions are very important, not only for foreign languages, but for the STEM, for learning mathematics, maths, calculus, for learning English. To improve your English, you need those executive functions. Our foreign languages are helping our students in order to pursue that, in order to improve these executive functions. And also for people who are grown up, who are supposed not to need those executive functions because they have the prefrontal cortex already developed, we are creating new neural networks, new paths, and maintaining the old ones. This can avoid certain degenerative illnesses. Yeah. So tell that to your administrators. Our students are going to take advantage of us. And then talk about economic opportunities. A lot of CEOs from businesses in this country recognize that they are not able to fulfill a lot of vacancies in the higher rank because the candidates, they don't have a second language or a third language. So that's absolutely important. If you know the possibilities of having a bigger salary depends directly in your abilities to speak, your skills to speak a second language, which is a very good information to tell to your administrators. And what is the other part? How we are supposed to work with inside our departments? My community college is not the best example, okay? So what you have here is the result of my research with Dr. Guzman. We have made a lot of interviews to leaders in the area, deans, chairs of departments, and important educators in the world languages area. So what we have come out with is that most of the people are investing in online courses, and most of all, they are trying to give asynchronous online courses because that gives the students the opportunity to keep working and studying or learning at their own pace, okay? Another thing that a lot of colleges are targeting is a course for the professions. Those specialized courses related to health and business, security. Something that I want to commend you, one important thing that we have in our college is a project that we have of collaboration between sign language, and the security department, the police department, because we have discovered that a lot of policies, they have a problem when they stop people who need to speak through sign languages. They don't understand each other and ends in problems for the person who is driving. Yeah. More things, certificates, but those certificates that we are able to include in the students' transcripts in order to show to the businesses that I am able to do this, and this is what is going to make the difference between me and the rest of the candidates. We are searching about the skill of sorry, this word is really difficult for me, biliteracy. I don't know if I am pronouncing that correctly, because we know that there is a college in Portland, Oregon, that is has implemented this in the college. It's one strange case, but it's important because the rest of the colleges should research a little bit on that and what are our possibilities in order to implement that skill in our colleges. Very, very, very important heritage speakers programs. Guys, the way we teach heritage is not the way we teach a regular student. We are not able to approach them in the same manner. They get bored. The second week of the course, they are absolutely bored because they know what we are teaching. So we really need to implement those programs, exams of entrance or leveling exams, however, whatever you want to call them, in order to put them in the appropriate courses for them to learn, but then learn in a different manner. Cultural approaches are very important for us too. Another thing, I have called this returning to the origin, because if you think the origin of community colleges were created in order to serve those social groups, underserved social groups, minorities, and people who were not able to access higher education because of the money or because of their skills. We need to go back to them, help them. People older than 30 years old, incarcerated people, retirees, and professionals. We need to serve them. A lot of them, at least here in Las Vegas, a lot of professionals, they need Spanish courses for their business. We have millions of people working in the casinos, as you can imagine, and they really need the Spanish courses focusing on that specifically. And then another thing that we are trying to do, most of the community college, is setting pipelines of collaboration between higher schools and universities. Higher schools, most of you know the dual enrollment programs, or we call it here Jumpstart program too. I will ask you to be careful on those agreements, how they are described or put in paper, because that can help the community college, the professors, the department, or just can be a problem for the department instead of helping. Remember that those dual programs have a monetary background, okay? Sometimes administrators, they only think on the money, how they are going to recover money, and they don't think who is going to be affected positively or negatively through those programs. And another thing that we are researching is programs 3+1 with universities, setting programs that we teach the majority of the courses at the college, and then the student transfer to the university to complete those certificates. We are thinking to put together courses for teachers of Spanish. Yeah.
Thank you so much. What you have shared with us has been so valuable. Wow, it has been so eye-opening. And I know we are understanding the piece of advocacy that is so needed in that part of community college. It's really, really, thank you so much. We continue with Dr. Patricia McGregor Mendoza.
Hello and greetings from the land of enchantment. I'm here in southern New Mexico, and I was very happy to hear what Professor Barroso was saying, because we are an Hispanic serving institution. About 47% of our students are identify as Latino. We have a very proud, very strong, pioneering heritage language program in our institution, started by Dr. Guadalupe Valdez in the 70s, and so we have continued on in a fine tradition in serving the students in our state. We also have in our state the Opportunity Scholarship, which is something that our current governor implemented, which offers free college tuition for students. So money is not as much of an obstacle as it is. So let me get into a little bit of what we're doing here at New Mexico State and others are doing at their universities. So what I feel regarding advocacy is what is important is that in order, more important than being successful in advocacy of scoring all of those W's, is just being persistent and almost relentless in the pursuit of educating others about the importance and the value of language study, because some people just do not get what we do and they don't see the importance of it. So some of the things that I've been doing over many years are direct, others are indirect. Along the lines of some of the direct avenues, I can say that my colleagues, Gabriela Moreno, who is the director of our Heritage Language Program, Jeff Longwell, who's the director of our L2 program, and we have worked to find pathways for students in our different classes to do service learning. So they're donating their time and often their language skills to support the mission of different community entities like local health clinics, Catholic charities, Head Start programs, local migration centers, and immigration lawyers as they're preparing cases for asylum seekers. Other colleagues, my literature colleagues, have recently been sponsoring community poetry, creative writing in poetry workshops. And they've also been sponsoring poetry slams, or they've been judging poetry competitions amongst high school students. So that's part of some of the things that we've been doing. Looking at that sphere of influence, I served on a few state committees. One of them was the HEAC. I had to step down a couple of years ago. But that's the Hispanic Education Advisory Council. And that is a broad state council that provides advice on the education, the K-12 education of Latino students in the state of New Mexico directly to the Secretary of Education. So service and finding ways to be a voice for the community when the community can't necessarily speak out for themselves directly to those individuals who are in the decision-making positions, that's key. Something that is very close to my heart, something that I've been doing for more than 20 years, is that I'm the pronouncer for our local Spanish spelling bee. And I just returned last week from being the pronouncer for our state Spanish spelling bee. I've also been either pronouncer or judge for the national bee in different cases. So that is something that I would encourage you to be involved in and establishing. It's open to 4th through 8th graders, so it covers, you know, elementary and mid school. It's often celebrated at one of the high schools, and then, you know, it involves the community, it involves local leaders, it involves press. You get a lot of positive buzz, and it's supporting literacy and language. I've also written some op-eds because I thought at one point there were some things that happened in the community that were language related, and I thought, I can't wait for people to come through my classroom to understand what's at stake here. So I've taken the opportunity to write op-eds, so I would encourage you all to do that as well, and to put your expertise out there to correct misunderstandings about who bilingual individuals are and what bilingual communities are. And one in particular that I wrote was saying, no, knowing another language does not, it's not related to patriotism, you know, things like that, just to correct misunderstandings. In a lot of my courses, I include assignments that require students to critically examine issues of language, culture, and power, particularly in school settings. Another thing that I've done recently is in the last couple of years created a Bachelor of Arts degree in linguistics. It's interdisciplinary. That took 10 years to do. I had to overcome a lot of internal politics, administrative inertia, some naysayers, and lots of changing procedures. But we got it done, and we have students that are becoming double majors, sometimes triple majors in Spanish, in linguistics, and communication disorders. So we are creating pathways for people to become bilingual SLPs. And that's only 8% of the population of SLPs are bilingual SLPs. So we're doing a lot of things. The key thing is to look for ways to create partnerships with other departments or with community entities, because now more than ever, our survival in promoting languages is dependent upon our connections to others. Sort of indirectly, you know, I've served in a number of functions in my institution, and I am always representing what language can do and how we are or are not our students because we're not doing enough culturally and linguistically. So I'm the person, the annoying person in the room that's always raising questions about how does this serve our Latino population and their linguistic and cultural needs. So be that annoying person that's always asking questions and always putting your language study, your linguistic study as well, at the forefront of people's minds, because it's always an afterthought, right? It's always like, oh yeah, we need this translated. It's like, well, how much did you budget in your proposal for translation or for interpretation? So make sure by asking those questions, you're constantly putting things in people's minds. So I'll pause there because I know that we're running out of time, but I'll pause there and hand it back to Heidi.
But thank you so much. What you have shared had been also with Julian incredible. This is an opportunity for us to know more about that. And as you can see, for our attendees, you can see how we start with elementary and how the different needs changes until we reach university level, and how we are again connected with who are our spheres of influence, who are the people who are connecting. And that had been in all the conversation. starting from elementary to the university. So at this moment, thank you so much. It has been a really engaging share of expertise that we have had. So now I would like just from members of the panel, one person from members of the panel to answer, how can data or evidence support advocacy efforts? If one person can address this question.
Data per se is what's going to give you that push, because when the people that are out of the classrooms or out of the school settings ask, but how do you defend your programs, or why do you want this for your programs? When you're able to show this percentage of students are getting higher level classes. Like I said, in the middle school, all my students all receive high school credit courses for their language courses. And my 8th graders take AP Spanish language. So showing them the data saying, but why should we keep AP in a class for 8th graders? I can show, because we're at least at the 75% or above at the same rate as a high school class when my students are 12 and 13 years old, because they're engaged in the language, because they're engaged in learning about the world, they're engaged about learning what's happening in their surroundings. So data is an essential part to be able to defend and put that front forward. Yes, I want you to give me more because this is how it is showing, because it's valuable, because the amount of students entering in our programs, or the amount of students that are wanting to be in our academies or in our societies are growing, because they see the value of being a bilingual, biliterate, and bicultural citizen.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And also that evidence helps us to determine what our area of growth, what area of growth we need to focus on to continue strengthening our language programs. Thank you so much. Again, for our panel to continue the conversation, what are some common challenges in advocacy and how do you overcome them?
I would like to say it's very important to teach our students the why. Why are we learning Spanish? Why are we learning about culture from the get-go? And I often tell them, you want to be like a supercomputer. You want to make those dendrils, those connections in your brain. You don't want to be the all computer that's very slow at processing information. The more you learn one language, the more you can have that process more words in different languages, not just in Spanish. As Professor Julian Barroso mentioned, it goes to many areas in mathematics here. It just multiplies, and them knowing that it's going to make them powerful is one more reason. And I think we need to say it from the beginning, this is what you're doing. It's not only the cultural part, it's also about maybe the selfish reasons. If you really want to become a supercomputer, just do it for yourself too, and for the community. It's important to talk about that. And I think the challenges, since I have the mic right now, at school are, the effort you put forth to collaborate, to go the extra mile outside of your classroom, to connect with others and make them see the importance that it is to hold a chapter after school where we're getting everybody together for more Spanish, for more culture.
I agree. So just very important seeing those challenges sometimes depending on the state, right? How we see like learning languages. It's not kind of like people should be focusing on that. And that's when we need to advocate more and more on that piece to create that awareness. This is really important to learn from others. Thank you. This is our last question. How can individuals and groups best collaborate to strengthen advocacy initiatives? I just want to say that I will start with the spheres of influence. That's the piece that we can center ourselves and see who are the people we reach first. We can reach first. So as educators, we're working with students, we're working with teachers, we're working with people who are close to us. So what we can do on that part, as you were talking, right? That collaboration piece, Larissa, you're talking about that. How I can engage others, right? If I am an advocate and I participate in Gen CL, I'm going to be trying to engage other colleagues. Say, hey, these days are coming. let's do it. Let's go and advocate for world languages, especially when you're in the state, right? You're going to be advocating for your state. So that for me is just some of those ideas to collaborate. Someone else would like to say something?
I'll say a few things that I think, you know, our most critical job is just to keep convincing people, because there's this lack of understanding about the value of languages. And it's probably one of the most exhausting things that we have to do, is to keep explaining why what we do is important. So just again, as I mentioned before, just keep languages and your language colleagues in the minds of other people. And keep reaching out to organizations, local organizations, and see how you can both mutually support each other. So having guest speakers come in, doing fundraisers, doing volunteer service opportunities, it's how you can fulfill each other's missions. Nominate yourself and your language colleagues for awards. Even if you don't get it, your name is out there. Just keep nominating people for awards. Apply for grants that put the development of the knowledge of a language front and center. Find ways to integrate and align community interests with your classroom. So invite or have students interview bilingual politicians or business leaders to demonstrate how languages are a critical part of what they do, so that there's that connection. And just keep advocating for your programs, your students, and your colleagues in meetings, being that annoying person asking those critical questions. And I'm also going to put a link in there to information, and it's information on the national Spanish spelling bee. But you all can get information if you want. It has a how-to link in there, so that you can start a spelling bee in your school and in your district.
Thank you so much.
Piggyback what Dr. Patricia said, don't be afraid to be that person when they see you, what is she going to say now? Or what is he going to say now? Don't be afraid, because they're going to remember and they're going to see that. So I know that that's a very important piece.
Thank you. And that's the piece of empowerment. And I love that. I love the spelling bee. You mentioned that. Oh my gosh. It's just a wonderful idea to engage the community. And then with all the ideas that we have shared, we hope that you have some that you can use or implement as advocates. We are educators, we are advocates, that's for sure. As we conclude our panel discussion, I want to reflect on the insight we have gained and express our gratitude to our amazing panelists and everyone who participated today. Throughout our conversation, we have delved into the critical importance of advocacy in advancing language education, from understanding its significance to exploring effective strategies and real-world examples. Our panelists have given us a wealth of knowledge and inspiration.
I totally echo those sentiments, Heidi, and I want to extend our heartfelt thanks to our panelists for their expertise and their passion for language education, and also thank Dr. Carrera and you, Heidi, for making this possible.
We also like to thank all the participants for your engagement and thoughtful questions. Your presence has made this conversation truly meaningful.
So before we close, I also want to remind everyone to check out our upcoming KWL webinars and visit our advocacy page, which will drop in the chat as well, for additional resources and tools to support your own advocacy efforts.
Additionally, I invite all educators passionate about language education to join our AATSP advocacy team by filling out the Google form provided in the chat. You can become part of the community dedicated to advocating for the growth and sustainability of language programs.
Thank you all again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at our future events.
With that, we conclude our webinar. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening, day.